October 14, 1943. The sky over Eastern Germany is the color of cold steel. Staff Sergeant Daniel Mercer grips the twin .50 caliber Browning machine guns in the top turret of his Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. The aircraft's name Iron Saint is painted in chipped white letters beneath the cockpit. Just below the chin turret, frost creeps along the inside of the plexiglass. At 25,000 feet, the temperature is 40 degrees below zero. Even through thick electrically heated gloves, his fingers feel brittle. Below them lies Berlin. The intercom crackles. Bandits, 11 o'clock high. Daniel twists in his turret. Through drifting vapor trails he sees them dark specks climbing fast. Luftwaffe fighters, sleek, intentional, deadly. This is his 8th mission. He tells himself he's not afraid. That fear burned out somewhere over Bremen. But his mouth is dry. The formation holds tight boxes of silver bombers stretching to the horizon. Sunlight glints off aluminum skins. Below, black bursts of flak begin to blossom like poisonous flowers. The pilot, Captain Ellis, keeps his voice calm. Stay tight. Gunners, conserve ammo. The first explosion rocks the Iron Saint. The aircraft lurches left. Daniel's teeth slam together. Shrapnel rattles against the fuselage like thrown gravel. He smells cordite even through his oxygen mask. Then the fighters dive. Messerschmitts slice through the formation head-on, cannons flashing. Daniel swings his turret, leading the target, squeezing the triggers. The Brownings thunder. Brass casings spin and bounce inside the turret compartment. A German fighter flashes past, so close he sees the pilot's goggles. Another flak burst detonates beneath the right wing. The aircraft shudders violently. Hydraulics hit. Someone shouts. Daniel glances down through the plexiglass floor. The right wing root is bleeding. Fuel in a silver stream that freezes. Instantly in the slipstream, he keeps firing. A B-17 ahead of them takes a direct hit. It folds in on itself, nose dipping, smoke pouring from its belly. No parachutes, just falling metal. The bomb bay doors of the Iron Saint begin to open. Bomb run, Ellis says. Steady. The sky thickens with flak. It's impossible to breathe without tasting metal. Daniel tracks another fighter lining up for a head-on pass. He fires short bursts. The enemy plane jerks, smoke trailing from its engine. It peels away but not before its cannons flash. The nose of the Iron Saint explodes in sparks. The intercom goes silent. For 3 seconds, there is only wind. Then the aircraft begins to descend. Not diving. Falling. Daniel looks down at Berlin rising through smoke, and the right wing catches fire. The fire begins as a thin orange thread along the right wing. Then it blooms. Inside the top turret, Daniel Mercer smells burning fuel even through his oxygen mask. The slipstream whips the flames backward, stretching them along the wing like a banner of fire. If it reaches the fuel tank, the Iron Saint will disintegrate midair. Engine 3's gone. The co-pilot shouts. The intercom hisses, then crackles back to life. Captain Ellis is still there, calm, controlled. Feather 3. Cut fuel to the right wing. The bomber shudders as the propeller on engine 3 slows and stops. Blades turning sideways to reduce drag. But the fire keeps crawling. Flak bursts punch the sky around them. Black smoke smears the formation. The bomb bay doors remain open beneath their feet. Bombs away. Comes the bombardier's voice from the shattered nose. The aircraft lurches upward slightly as the load drops toward Berlin. Below factories, rail yards, ministries hidden under smoke. Daniel doesn't look down. He's watching the fire. Another fighter appears and Messerschmitt, Bf 109 coming in from 2 o'clock low. Its nose flashes. Bullets rip through the fuselage. The turret glass splinters. One round punches through the metal inches from Daniel's boot. He rotates, fires. The twin .50 caliber Brownings hammer the sky. Tracers arc forward and strike the fighter's wing root. A flicker. A trail of black smoke. The German aircraft rolls inverted and disappears into cloud. No time to celebrate. The fire surges brighter. Fire spreading. The engineer yells. It's in the wing. Daniel looks toward the formation. They are falling behind. A crippled bomber is prey. The tight defensive box that keeps fighters at bay is slipping away yard by yard. Captain Ellis makes a decision. We're dropping out. No one argues. The Iron Saint dips lower, peeling away from the formation. Immediately, the sky feels emptier, colder, exposed. The ball turret gunner, Private Russo, speaks softly over intercom. They're circling back. Daniel sees them 3 dark shapes banking wide, preparing to attack the lone bomber. The right wing fire suddenly gutters, then flares again as wind feeds it. The metal skin begins to warp, paint blistering away. Ellis' voice cuts through the chaos. Prepare to bail out. The words hang inside the aircraft like ice. Daniel glances down through the turret's curved glass. Far below, The German countryside rolls beneath scattered cloud, too high to see faces, too low to survive an explosion. He thinks of home in Ohio, of his mother's last letter tucked inside his jacket. Not yet, the engineer shouts suddenly. Fire's dying down. Daniel leans toward the wing. The flames shrink thinner now, flickering weakly as fuel flow slows, but the fighters are coming back, and this time, they're aiming for the cockpit. The three fighters roll in together. Daniel Mercer sees them through fractured plexiglass dark crosses on silver wings, sunlight flashing off canopies. They come head-on, the most dangerous angle. No blind spot, no mercy. Front attack, he shouts. The nose guns are silent. The earlier cannon burst tore through the forward compartment. The bombardier isn't answering. The navigator hasn't spoken in minutes. Captain Ellis holds the Iron Saint steady. A steady bomber is an easy target. A weaving bomber breaks formation discipline and exposes its belly. There is no good choice. The Messerschmitts close fast. Daniel rotates his turret forward as far as it will go. The twin Brownings shatter, tracers stitching the sky. The first fighter breaks early, slipping beneath the bomber's nose. The second keeps coming. Cannon flashes erupt from its wings. The cockpit explodes in glass and smoke. The B-17 jolts violently. Daniel hears a strangled cry over the intercom, then silence. "Captain," the co-pilot calls. No answer. The third fighter rakes the fuselage as it passes. Bullets punch through aluminum skin. A scream echoes from the waist gun position. Daniel forces himself not to look back. He tracks the climbing second fighter, squeezes again. A burst catches the engine cowling. Flame spits out. The German plane rolls sharply and dives away, trailing smoke. Two down, one circling. Inside the cockpit, the co-pilot Lieutenant Harris wrestles the controls. Blood runs across the instrument panel. Captain Ellis slumps forward in his harness, unmoving. Harris' voice is tight. "I have control." The bomber dips sharply, then stabilizes. Altitude, 19,000 feet. They are losing height. Engine 3 is dead. Engine 4 sputters. The right wing still smokes, though the fire has burned itself thin. Navigators hit. Someone whispers. He's not breathing. Daniel swallows hard. This mission started with 10 men. Now the aircraft feels hollow. The last fighter swings wide, preparing for another pass. It's patient, methodical, waiting for them to slow further. Harris makes a choice that shocks everyone. "We're diving." The nose drops suddenly. The horizon flips upward in Daniel's turret view. Gravity presses him into his harness as the B-17 tips into a steep descent. The German fighter overshoots. Wine screams around the fuselage. Loose papers and shell casings tumble inside the aircraft. The damaged right wing vibrates violently under strain. "Pull her out," the engineer shouts. Too much speed and the wings will shear off. Too little and the fighter returns. At 12,000 feet, Harris hauls back on the yoke. The aircraft groans metal protesting, then levels shakily. Silence fills the sky. The fighter is gone, but so is the bomber formation. Above them, only contrails fading into distant cloud. Below them, Germany stretches endless and hostile. Fuel is leaking. One engine failing. 2 men dead. The pilot gravely wounded, and they are alone over the heart of the Reich. Engine 4 fails with a long metallic shriek. The propeller slows, windmilling uselessly before Harris feathers it. The sudden drag eases, but so does their hope. 2 engines gone on the same wing. The Iron Saint tilts dangerously to starboard, fighting to stay level. Daniel Mercer grips the turret frame as the horizon slants. "Trim it! Trim it!" the engineer yells. Harris works the controls, jaw clenched, boots braced against the rudder pedals. The B-17 shudders but stabilizes, barely. They are flying onto engines now, both on the left wing. Every vibration feels like the beginning of structural failure. Altitude, 10,500 feet. Too low for comfort, too high to jump safely without certainty. Daniel scans the sky. No fighters, no friendly bombers. Just scattered flak bursts far behind them over Berlin, fading into haze. Inside the fuselage, the damage becomes clear. The nose compartment is shredded. The bombardier lies slumped over the northern side, oxygen mask dangling. The navigator is still, headset torn loose. Blood has frozen dark against aluminum flooring. In the cockpit, Captain Ellis breathes shallowly. A jagged shard of plexiglass embedded in his shoulder. Harris can't leave the controls to help him. "Fuel status," Harris demands. The engineer checks the gauges, tapping one with his glove. "We're bleeding from the right tanks. Maybe 40 minutes left. Maybe less." 40 minutes inside enemy territory. Daniel looks west. Somewhere beyond the horizon lies the North Sea. Somewhere beyond that, England. If they can even reach the coast. The waist gunner, Corporal Jennings, crawls forward despite a wound in his thigh. He leans into the cockpit. "Sir, We could bail. Harris doesn't answer immediately. They all know what that means. Capture, interrogation. Prison camp run by the Luftwaffe. Survival, maybe, or something worse. Daniel thinks of the falling B-17 he saw earlier. No parachutes. We're not done yet, Harris finally says. Quiet. Firm. The bomber rattles through a layer of thin cloud. Ice begins forming along the wing edges. With only 2 engines, they don't have power to climb above it. A sudden jolt runs through the aircraft. Everyone freezes. The right wing dips sharply again. A cracking sound, sharp, metallic, echoes through the fuselage. Structural stress. Daniel stares at the scorched section near engine 3. The metal skin has peeled back in places. RIB is exposed to freezing air. Another vibration shakes the frame. The wing is weakening. If it fails, they won't even have time to reach their parachutes. Harris' voice comes over the intercom, steadied but thinner now. We head west. If she holds together, we ride her home. Daniel scans the horizon. Far below, he spots something new, thin trails of smoke rising from open fields. Not flak. Signal fires. And in the distance, tiny specks moving along a road. German trucks. They are tracking the falling bomber. And the Iron Saint is losing altitude again. Altitude drops to 8,000 feet. The countryside of central Germany sharpens beneath them, patchwork fields, narrow roads, clusters of red-roofed farmhouses. Daniel Mercer has never seen enemy territory this clearly. It feels wrong, almost intimate. The right wing trembles again. Keep her steady, Harris mutters, hands locked on the yoke. The engineer crawls back toward the damaged section with a fire extinguisher. Though the flames are mostly gone, the smell of burned insulation and leaking fuel fills the fuselage. Every spark feels fatal. Daniel scans the sky. Still no fighters. That worries him more. They're letting us fall, Jennings says quietly from the waist gun. They know we can't make it. Daniel doesn't answer. The fuel gauge needle sinks lower. 40 minutes has become 20. Below, a column of vehicles turns off the main road and spreads into a field. Even from this height, the gray uniforms are unmistakable. Soldiers scatter, pointing upward. The Iron Saint is no longer just an aircraft. It's a prize. Harris makes another decision. We lighten her. The engineer understands immediately. Ammunition boxes are shoved toward the open waist windows. One by one, heavy belts of .50 caliber rounds tumble into open air. Even the ball turret ammunition is dumped. Daniel hesitates before ejecting his last spare box. Each round feels like protection. Each pound feels like survival. The aircraft rises slightly, barely noticeable, but real. Then engine to sputters. Everyone freezes. The left inboard engine coughs violently, black smoke trailing from its exhaust. No, no, no. The engineer whispers, slamming his glove against the fuel selector. The engine catches again, but unevenly. They are running on fumes. Altitude, 6,500 feet. The clouds are gone now. Nothing hides them from the ground. Daniel leans forward. In the turret and sees something. New rail lines cutting across the fields. A freight train stopped abruptly. People standing beside it, staring upward. For the first time, he sees faces. Germany is looking back at them. A sudden crack splits the air. Rifle fire. Tiny flashes from below, civilian or militia. Impossible to tell. Bullets snap past the fuselage. Harmless at this distance, but chilling all the same. Harris exhales slowly. We won't reach the coast. No one argues now. The question is no longer whether they survive. It's how. Prepare to bail out, Harris says again, voice lower this time. Daniel feels his chest tighten. He's trained for this. Countless drills. Static line. Ripcord. But training never included jumping alone. Over the heart of the Reich, he looks back once at the cockpit. Captain Ellis is still alive barely. Harris turns slightly in his seat. If we jump, he doesn't. The words settle heavy. Outside, the countryside rushes closer. Altitude, 5,000 feet. The right wing emits another sharp metallic crack. Time has run out, and someone has to choose who lives. Altitude, 4,200 feet. The Iron Saint groans like a wounded animal. Inside the cockpit, Lieutenant Harris looks at Captain Ellis slumped in the left seat. Blood has soaked into his aide jacket, frozen stiff along the seams. His eyes are half open, unfocused, but he's breathing. We don't have time, Jennings says from behind them, voice shaking despite himself. Harris knows the math. At this altitude, they have seconds, not minutes. If the right wing fails, there will be no jump, just impact. Daniel Mercer climbs down from the top turret, boots slipping slightly on the cold aluminum floor. He moves forward, crouched, stepping around twisted metal and shattered plexiglass. The bomber feels smaller now, more fragile. Sir, Daniel says quietly to Harris, we can rig him. Harris glances back. They both know what that means. A bailout harness. Clip Captain Ellis to someone stronger. Share a parachute drop. It's dangerous. Not textbook, but possible. Who? Harris asks. Daniel doesn't hesitate. Me. For a second, Harris studies him. Frost clings to Daniel's eyebrows. His face is pale, jaw set. 21 years old. Your top turret, Harris says. You weigh less. Daniel nods once. Outside, the countryside swells closer. Individual trees are visible now. A river snakes through the fields like dull steel. Altitude, 3,500 feet. The engineer shouts from the waist, wings tearing open. A seam along the right wing splits wider. The metal skin flutters violently in the slipstream. The spar beneath is exposed. Harris makes the call. Do it. Daniel and Jennings work fast. They cut away Ellis' chest chute and replace it with Daniel's harness straps, looping them tight across both their bodies. Ellis groans faintly but doesn't resist. Stay with me, Captain, Daniel whispers, though he doesn't know if Ellis hears. The aircraft lurches again. Altitude, 2,800 feet. Jump, jump. The engineer yells. The rear hatch is kicked open. Wind explodes into the fuselage, ripping loose papers and oxygen hoses into the sky. Jennings goes first, disappearing into rushing air. Then Russo from the ball turret. Harris looks back once at Daniel. Their eyes meet. I'll ride her down, Harris says. Daniel shakes his head. Sir, that's an order. The right wing emits a deep, tearing roar. There is no more time. Daniel drags Ellis toward the hatch. The freezing wind steals his breath. Below them, a wide open field stretches between scattered farm buildings. Altitude, 2,000 feet. He grips the frame, steps into nothing. For a heartbeat, they are weightless. Then the sky grabs them. The Iron Saint roars past above, still flying barely, its broken wing bending under impossible strain. Daniel counts. 1, 2, 3. He pulls the cord, and prays the silk opens before the bomber dies behind him. The parachute snaps open with a violent jolt. Daniel Mercer feels his shoulders nearly tear from their sockets as the silk canopy blooms above them, white against the gray October sky. Captain Ellis hangs limp against his chest, dead weight dragging them slightly sideways in the wind. Below, the German countryside rises fast. He looks up. The Iron Saint is still in the air. For one impossible second, the crippled Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress flies level without a crew at the controls. Smoke trails from its shattered right wing. The nose dips slowly, almost gently, as if the bomber is searching for a runway that doesn't exist. Then the wing gives way. It tears free in a flash of metal and fabric. The aircraft rolls violently, spiraling toward the earth. Daniel forces himself to look away. He checks Ellis' face, pale, lips blue, but still breathing. Wind pushes them eastward, not west, not toward safety. Altitude, maybe 1,200 feet. Gunshots crack from below. Rifles, pistols, the desperate anger of men on the ground. Bullets tear past, too inaccurate to matter but close enough to remind Daniel that he is not descending into mercy. He twists the risers, trying to steer. The heavy combined weight makes control sluggish. They drift toward a wide plowed field bordered by a dirt road. On that road movement, a gray military truck brakes hard. Soldiers jump down, pointing upward. Their field gray uniforms are unmistakable. Wehrmacht. Daniel swallows. Altitude, 300 feet. He braces his legs as he was trained. Knees bent, chin tucked. They hit hard. The impact knocks the breath from his lungs. Ellis collapses beside him, still strapped tight. The parachute collapses in a rush of silk, dragging across dirt until Daniel claws it loose. For 2 seconds, there is silence. Wind over empty fields. Then shouting. German voices. Close. Urgent. Daniel scrambles to Ellis, cutting him free from the harness. He pulls the captain behind a shallow ridge of plowed earth, fumbling for the small .45 pistol strapped beneath his flight jacket. He knows it's useless. One pistol against a squad. He looks west. Far in the distance, he sees other parachutes, tiny white dots descending toward scattered villages. Russo, Jennings, maybe. The engineer, none close enough to help. Boots pound against soil. The first German soldier appears over the ridge. Rifle raised, young, no older than Daniel. Shock flickers across the man's face at the sight of 2 American airmen on the ground. Daniel raises the pistol but hesitates. If he fires, Ellis dies here. If he surrenders, they both live. For a moment, the war narrows to a single breath. The German soldier shouts something Daniel doesn't understand. More soldiers crest the ridge behind him. Daniel slowly lowers the pistol and raises his hands. Rough hands force Daniel Mercer to his knees. A rifle butt strikes the dirt beside his head, warning, not execution. The young Wehrmacht soldier who first reached them keeps his weapon trained, breathing hard, His helmet sits crooked, eyes wide, not hatred, just adrenaline. Daniel lifts both hands higher. "Eek. Surrender," he says clumsily. The soldier hesitates, then steps forward and kicks the .45 pistol from Daniel's reach. Another German moves past him toward Captain Ellis, who lies pale and motionless in the furrowed soil. One of the soldiers kneels beside Ellis and presses fingers against his neck. A pause, then a nod. "Leapt," the soldier mutters. "Alive." Daniel exhales without meaning to. They cut the remaining harness straps with a bayonet and haul Daniel to his feet. His gloves are torn away. His hands are bound tight behind his back with coarse cord. Ellis is lifted carefully, more carefully than Daniel expected, and carried toward the waiting truck. The field smells of damp earth and burnt aviation fuel drifting from the horizon. In the distance, a black column of smoke marks where the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress ended its flight. Daniel forces himself not to look too long. As they push him toward the truck, he sees civilians gathering at the edge of the field, farmers, older men, and women in dark coats. Their expressions are harder to read. Some stare silently, others shout. One elderly man raises his fist. A woman spits toward the captured Americans. The soldiers shout back at the civilians, forcing them away. Order must be maintained. Prisoners are valuable. Daniel is shoved into the back of the truck. The wooden bench is cold and splintered. Across from him, Ellis lies on the floorboards, head cradled by a soldier who keeps pressure on the wound. The truck lurches forward. Fields blow past. Daniel listens carefully. No sign of other American prisoners nearby. No sign of gunfire. Perhaps the others landed farther away. Perhaps they ran. Or perhaps, he stops the thought. The truck enters a small village. Stone houses with steep roofs. A church steeple rising above them. Civilians line the road now, drawn by rumor and smoke. Children point. Women whisper. Some faces show curiosity. Others show open anger. The truck slows in the town square. More soldiers wait, their uniforms different now. Blue-gray with Luftwaffe insignia. Luftwaffe ground personnel. One officer steps forward. Tall, severe, gloved hands clasped behind his back. His gaze settles on Daniel with clinical detachment. "You are from the bomber?" he asks in careful English. Daniel nods once. The officer studies him for a long moment. "Good," he says quietly. "You will answer questions." Behind him, Daniel notices something unexpected. Figures gathered near the edge of the square. Women, dressed in worn coats and headscarves. Thin, pale, not villagers, prisoners. And they are staring at him as if he is something they never thought they would see. An American alive.